Welcome to the Cruise Retreat podcast. My name is Rita M. Perez, and I'm a triple certified travel advisor. But more importantly, I coordinate all the logistics to bring your online community offline through world travel. If you've been yearning to put together a group trip, but overwhelmed with all the details that come with planning, I and this podcast are here to help. Ready to transform lives on the open waters of the world? Let's get started. Hello, everyone. I'm back. Happy Wednesday, or if you're listening on the podcast, happy Tuesday. I am just on an incredible high right now. Hello. I just got off a webinar speaking about the river cruise line that I was just sailing with, Alma Waterways, and so many photos featured. So I am just so nostalgic and so pumped. I wanted to come on live today, or I wanted to come on live yesterday to talk about this topic, but I was a little bit down, quite honestly. I know many of you know I've had a couple of deaths happen in my family recently, so I just wasn't really up for coming on camera. Today is a little bit of a better day, so I cannot just elaborate. So part of what they were talking about on the webinar earlier was who really is a perfect fit for river cruising. And this is a topic that I've wanted to touch on because I know for most of you, you have the stereotypical idea of what a traditional ocean cruise is like, which that is a family picture of what a traditional ocean cruise is like. There's a lot of stuff going on the ship, a lot of hustle and bustle, but also lots of relaxing, especially when you are on the ocean days. Thank you, Logan. And so it's very different when you are experiencing a river cruise because river cruise is just an elevated atmosphere, especially when we're talking about the partners that I hold near and dear because they've been so great to me. And I know they've been so great to my clients, especially when I'm thinking about cooking up an idea to have a fall trip on this similar cruising, is that it is really for people who want to be immersed in a destination and they want to be taken care of. You don't want to be making too many decisions while you're away. You just want your decision to be, do I go on the truffle hunting tour or do I go on the bicycle ride? Do I go on the market tour or do I see the Papal Palace today? I mean, the hardcore decisions that are happening on river ships, right? Are you having the beef for dinner or are you going to have the fish for dinner? If that sounds like you and that sounds like the type of experience that you want to have when you are cruising or especially when you are journeying through Europe, river cruising really is right up your alley. So one of the reasons that I love it is for that I don't have to think too much. One of the biggest things is that it is very inclusive when we're talking about pricing. So even though the price tag is a little bit higher, there is very little more that you have to add on to that pricing. So when I say an ocean cruise is going to be $2,000 a person versus a river cruise being $5,000 a person, $5,000 is going to give you so much more than the $2,000 is, because the $2,000 you still have to pay for your tours and excursions. You still have to pay like for any specialty beverages or anything like that. You still have to pay for Wi-Fi, and the costs just add up. And they add up, and they can add up so much that you're kind of like paying the same price in the end, but you're getting less of an experience than you are on a river ship. Because when you're sailing, like, some people had asked me, so how much spending money on this last trip? How much spending money do I need to bring? And I'm like, really, if you've already prepaid your gratuities, it's any extra gratuities that you want to be giving to the crew who is giving you top-notch service, and I guarantee there's going to be at least one crew member that will be doing that for you. It is going to be like any little small tips and gratuities to your tour guides and your bus drivers, because of course they do a phenomenal job when we're there, but you don't have to pay for the tours because they are already included. And like I said, there's a variety of tours that happen on these sailings. There's market tours, walking tours, hiking tours. There are active walking tours and gentle walking tours. So if you want to like walk around at a brisk pace, go on an active walking tour. If you want to take it a little bit easier today, you can go on a gentle walking tour. And I love that there's just all these different options that you can go on. And it's not like, oh, do I have to do this or do you have to do that? You can do whatever your little heart desires. Like in Avignon, there are different bicycle tours that you can do in the south of France as well. In Tarascon, which is and I'm talking all these little cities and towns because that is another benefit of river sailing, is that you can be in these smaller cities and towns, and it's a little bit more intimate than like being in the big hustle bustle areas of like Paris and Barcelona, which of course are places that I love to go to, but it is nice to have a little bit of a different pace and to be able to see these areas that maybe you might not have thought of before. And I feel like it's a little bit of bragging rights that when you get home, yes, I went to Tarascon. I did a red wine and chocolate pairing tasting, or I hiked up the hill in Tarascon, or I took a steam train ride in Tarascon. Just there's so many opportunities, and I think it just hits a little different than when you say, oh yeah, I went up the Eiffel Tower in Paris, because, many people go up the Eiffel Tower in Paris, but not many people can hike up in the small town of Tarascon in France. Or not many people can say that they've explored the Beaujolais region in France, which is a world-renowned wine region. And that was probably one of my favorite excursions that we had this time. And these are all included with your river cruise. I love, speaking on the topic of who really is great for a river cruise, people who are similar to me in the fact that we are busy professionals. So you don't want to be spending your time like making tons of decisions. You want everything to be set out for, and you just make easy decisions like which tour, what you're going to be eating. I say busy professionals also because Wi-Fi is included with your river cruise, and it's not just any Wi-Fi, it's really great high-speed Wi-Fi. Sometimes it can be spotty, especially when we're sailing, but for the most part, I was able in like the little downtimes, I was still able to communicate with clients. You saw me posting reels. I was doing stories. It's not like we're totally out in the remote areas. So there is a connectivity feel. So if you need to do some sort of Zoom session with somebody while you're away, I got so excited, I dropped the phone. If you need to do some sort of Zoom session while you're away, that is totally possible. And that's of course, I went with a group of fellow travel agents, and of course, right now is a little bit busy for many travel agents that they're having to utilize the computer. So maybe you skip a tour, but you can stay up late in the lounge because onboard entertainment is also included. So let me think. We had an amazing jazz duo come on board. We had a trio, classical musical trio, La Strada, I love that there are so many varied options on board entertainment wise. There was Les Guitarras de Camargue that came from Spain, because we are really close to Spain on that sailing, that came aboard, and you really get immersed into the culture. So if you are really into cultural immersions, learning about the region that you are in and really being immersed in food, wine, drink, dancing, singing, everything, that is the true essence of river cruising. So I know when we think of ocean cruising, sun, fun, relaxing, that is the ocean cruise type atmosphere. And that's specifically Caribbean, because It's a little bit different mindset when you do like a Mediterranean Sea type of cruise, right? Whereas I just cannot say enough about river cruising because I am a geek and I'm a fanatic about it. One of the things that I was talking with my fellow travel agents about is that really what makes river cruising special is the crew. And I know that if anything were to happen while I was away, the cruise manager, the hotel manager would take care of me or would take care of my clients should anything ever happen abroad. It is a much smaller ratio, so people remember your name. People remember what your needs are. Like, so I sailed back in December, and people remembered that I was gluten-free on this last cruise in April. It was the same ship, so I can't, like, if it was on a different ship, of course they're not going to remember. But that is just the attention to detail. And I think, too, it's just, like, be a good person and good things. I feel like if I was not a good person, that would not have happened. Or I would not have been remembered in such an amazing light. But that is just the extra mile that the river cruise lines really can go in your interactions. Not only that, like the amazing accommodations. Now I will say, if you are expecting a spacious cabin aboard a river cruise, you're gonna be upset. You are not going to be too happy because river cruise ships are smaller, they're skinnier. I've talked a little bit about river cruising in the sense that there are locks on the river cruises just to make sure that water levels all stay nice and nifty while you're sailing on the rivers in Europe. And because of that, the locks are just a certain amount of width, and so the ships need to be built towards that. So that means that the accommodations on the ships are a little bit smaller. And so if that is going to be some sort of issue for you, I probably would not recommend river cruising for you. It really hasn't been a problem for me. There are some cabins that I would recommend more than other cabins. And once we start getting into like all the details and I start sharing, hopefully a group trip that I am planning for this fall, I can elaborate a little bit more on the different cabin types because there are, I think my favorite cabin type is the one that has the French balcony, which is kind of like a sliding glass door, and it's like floor to ceiling. You get an awesome view. You just open it up if you want some fresh air in. The cabin that I was in on this cruise was a twin balcony. So I had a little sitting area inside the balcony, and then there was a sitting area outside, like a balcony, which was great to have like really great conversations with one of my friends, especially when there was a time that I really needed a pick-me-up. So, and it's just nice to get that fresh air. Obviously, the best cabin are the suites, but the suites sell out super quick on there, but it is possible to have that on board. I did not mention that on this sailing, and so, I've said food and beverage are included. A chef's table experience is also included. So again, when I'm thinking about people who river cruising really is for, busy professionals, people who like culture, foodies, big people who are into like wine, beverage, spirits, all that, because there is sometimes a sip and sail hour that happens, and those lemon drop martinis are silent and dangerous. Very delicious, but very silent and dangerous as well. So let me know what questions you might have about river cruising. And if you think river cruising, like you're intrigued, but you're not really sure if river cruising really is for you or could be for you. I will say, so I'm planning to go back to Provence region. The sailing I'm looking at is at the end of October, beginning of November, and it sails from Lyon, France, all the way down to Avignon, France, and there is a 3-night pre-extension in Paris and a 3-night post-extension in Barcelona. I don't have set details yet because I'm trying to work a couple different things on the back end as well. The pre or the post, you can take them, you can leave them, you can just do the cruise, just do a pre-night in, post-night out. You can do one or the other. I am just so stinking excited to be able to share this experience with some of you. And river cruising, when I think about, again, like people who this is best for, it really is a great opportunity to travel with other people in community, because it is such an awesome experience to share, especially when you have like-minded people, and maybe somebody did do the wine hike, and then the other people did do the steam train ride, and then the other group of people did the wine and chocolate tasting. When you all come together at dinner time and you're able to share those memories, it is just a true joy and a true delight to see. And I will say, this itinerary, it is hard to pick your choices of what you want to be doing. So there's always, when I sail again in fall, that will be my third time, and there is still things that I have not done on this itinerary, like the Pont du Gard. There is a lot of Roman history. Funny for being in France, but yes, there is a lot of Roman history on this itinerary as well. So if you're a history buff, if you love art, Arles is on this itinerary, and Arles is the city that Van Gogh decided to live in for a few years. Lots of famous paintings came from here. Arles is where Van Gogh cut his ear off, and you actually do get to visit or be in the courtyard of the hospital where he was treated after he cut off his ear. So just being in these illustrious landscapes and putting your foot forward into history. And, one of the other things that I really love about this that I told somebody else is I would much rather sail on a river than do a bus tour throughout Europe, because at least on the river, I only have to unpack once. And I get to see all these amazing experiences from either the ship or being docked in town. There's a lot of overnight visits. If you don't want to go on a tour, you can just walk right into the heart of the city and everything. It is, I feel, a rather more active vacation, but it is also go at your own pace. So if you don't want to do something, or if you want to do something differently, it is totally up to you and your style and what you would prefer. All right, I am going to sign off now because I think I've gushed way much about this. But let me know if you have any questions about planning your next cruise on a river cruise, or planning your next retreat or group trip on a river cruise. All right, have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye. Thanks for joining me on the Cruise Retreat podcast. Please subscribe and leave the show a rating so more team and community leaders like yourself can get access to these episodes. See you next week.